Namaskar to Parama Pujya Shri Virendra Hegde ji and the respected dignitaries, distinguished faculty members, honorable guests, and dear friends. A very special congratulations and appreciations to the ABVP Karnataka who designed this SRUSTI 2026 conference, who invited different people from the different part of the Karnataka, and finally to all the Karyakartas of ABVP. From the earliest times, Bharat did not monopolize truth. It encouraged the inquiry, it embraced diversity, and built an integrated and inclusive intellectual tradition, the living foundation connecting Bharatiya knowledge to the modern India. Today, I stand before you to speak not merely about technology, not merely about innovation, and not merely about India as the modern nation, but about a timeless civilizational journey where the knowledge evolved, adopted, and continues to shape the future of the Bharat. I would like to present 5 key principles in day to day living as well as in industrial and commercial practices. The first T is tradition, the tradition of the ancient civilization that has thought, experimented, built, refined, and transmitted knowledge for thousands of years. Our civilization that never saw the knowledge as an isolated islands but as an interconnected oceans. Our civilization understood that mathematics is connected to the astronomy and astronomy is connected to the time is connected to the agriculture to the ecology, and ecology to the sustainability. This integrated thinking is what we call today as a system engineering. Civilizations are remembered by the depth of their thinking and the way they pass on their knowledge to the further generation. When we talk about the Bharatiya knowledge, we must move away from the misconception that is belonging only to the past. It is a stream born in the ancient observation, shaped through the experimentation, and flowing into modern innovation. The engineers of today are not separated from the thinkers of the past, they are the part of the same continuous journey. Whereas Bharatiya knowledge is not frozen in time and it's not a museum artifact even. It is a living, evolving continent forever. Now, the second T is technology. Let me begin with the something simple moment. Human civilizations progressed because the humans have been moved. In Bharat, one of the earliest mode of organized transport was the palki. At the first glance, the palki appears very simple, but the system is very deeper. From palki, it evolved to the chariot. With the chariot, we got the fundamental technological shift, the invention of the wheel. So the wheel gave a very huge contribution. It reduced the friction, it increased the speed, and it expanded the mobility. The chariot also introduced the rotational motion technology, axle dynamics, center of gravity, and material strength. Today, these same principles form the foundation of the automotive engineering. The modern vehicles used optimized axle placements, lightweight materials to reduce the friction and increase the efficiency. What began as wooden spoke wheels, today it evolved into alloy wheels and precision balanced rotational systems. So these improvements are reflected in modern terrain vehicles and defense mobility systems. The engineers today designed vehicles capable of moving across the deserts, mountains, and uneven landscapes. Over the time, the cars evolved, the wheels improved, the materials improved, the design technology improved, and the solutions have become technologically advanced. And this brings us to modern India, redefining the mobility systems. India, rooted in the mindset of frugal engineering and advancing rapidly in the UV technology. The GET evolves to the flex fuel and ethanol technologies. As the mobility evolves, it begins to think through digital and smart mobility powered by artificial intelligence and the connected systems. This intelligence expands beyond roads, rises into the skies, The aerospace innovations represent engineering beyond the limits. When Chandrayaan 3 has achieved precision landing technology, it demonstrated not just the exploration, but precision advanced guidance, navigation, and control systems, taking India from navigating roads to the navigating space. Whereas Tejas represents multiple layer of thought, the lightness with the strength, using the minimum resource and giving the maximum output. It integrated and collaborated between different parts of the research laboratories. Finally, it stands as a self-reliance Atmanirbharata, where design, development, and capabilities are indigenous. How the ancient Bharat built its own system in science and metallurgy. The journey flows seamlessly from ground to the road and road to the intelligence, and from intelligence to the skies, and from the skies to the oceans. Ancient Bharatiya shipbuilders developed a vessel capable of the long distance maritime travel. They had a very deep scientific understanding of nature. They gave a subject of buoyancy. They gave a subject of hull geometry. They studied the wind patterns to configure sails very efficiently. And the navigation dependent on precise celestial observation, tracking the stars, the sun, and the seasonal shifts. As a result, the trade routes expanded, the cultural exchanges grown, the knowledge traveled with merchants, the technology, ideas, and innovations moved across the region. Today, the same principle has been evolved, not disappeared. Instead of the stars, we use satellites. Instead of the manual observations, we use data systems. Today, the navigation with Indian constellation, that is India's NAVIC, provides precise positioning and navigation for the ships, aircraft, disaster management, and finally the national security. Yet the core idea behind it remains very deeply and the continuous flow of knowledge from the ancient Bharat. What once began as an observing the sky has now evolved into the engineering of the sky. What was once navigating oceans is now navigating the entire regions through the satellites. The tools might have transformed, but the thinking has remained constant. Understanding of the systems, anticipating the patterns, and moving with the precisions. Today, the India builds advanced naval ships, submarines, and maritime systems that operates across the oceans, guided by the satellite-based navigations, yet has been rooted in the same principles that once guided mariners through the monsoon winds. Over the centuries, this same civilizational curiosity expanded into railways, automobiles, aircraft, and spacecraft, landing to the modern India designing launched vehicles. The journey from Palki to the spacecraft is not a jump, it is a continuous evolution of knowledge shaped and refined across the generations. The third T is trade. The world looks to the Bharat as the birthplace of mathematical ideas, the language of engineers, and the backbone of the trade. The discovery of zero was not just a number, it was a shift in the human thinking. Today, binary code is the foundation of every computer. What began as a mathematical insight in Bharat now powers the digital world. Every line of code written, every system deployed is the modern expression of the ancient mathematical clarity. From fintech platforms to the national digital infrastructure like Aadhaar and UPI, the mathematics is not no longer on the paper, it is in the motion. The fourth T is talent. Bharat talent in the field of architecture is very huge. The ancient Bharatiya structure were never just monuments, they were the lived engineered systems. Temples and cities were aligned with the cardinal directions to optimize light, heat, and energy flow. The natural ventilation systems kept interiors cool without an artificial means. Even the massive granite temples built by the dynasties reflect material science and tool advancement. The architecture in Bharat has always been about harmony between structure, science, and sustainability. And today, the same wisdom is being scaled into green buildings, smart cities, and resilient infrastructure of the future. The watershed management technology provides another example. The contribution of Bharat to metallurgy tells a story of deep scientific understanding and continuity, and high performance metals for nuclear, defense, and infrastructure sectors. From ancient furnaces of Sindhu Saraswati to the modern research laboratories, the journey is not a break, it is a continuum of knowledge, refined and reapplied across the generation. The earliest layer of Bharatiya knowledge systems emerged from the Vedic traditions, where the knowledge were not written but lived. And today, India leads in digital innovations and population scale, building platforms that store, process, and share knowledge for millions in real time. What was once memorized through human networks, it's now distributed through digital networks. Long before the modern world spoke about the interdisciplinary thinking, Bharat was already practicing the system thinking, which knowledge was integrated, not fragmented. Today's innovations, whether in artificial intelligence, sustainability, healthcare, infrastructures, are moving towards the integration. So the Vikatsit Bharat will not emerge from the borrowed ideas alone. It will emerge from the revival and reinterpretation of our own knowledge system. Because the Bharatiya wisdom was never a narrow, it was a comprehensive, continuously evolving knowledge. The fifth T is truth. Let's now examine the technological eras, the last few decades belonging to the computing era, where the machines processed data, the engineers wrote software, and the automations improved efficiency. Then we are into the artificial intelligence era today, where machines began to recognize patterns, systems started learning, and decision making became increasingly data driven. But the next shift is even more profound. We are moving into the mind era, where the technology will not just process information, but interact directly with human cognition, and systems will not just respond to inputs, they will begin to understand the intent. Today, modern India stands at this unique interaction, strong in artificial intelligence and digital systems. This creates an opportunity not just to advance technology, but to shape it in more human-centric and responsible way. Dear friends, this expands your role. You are no longer just builders of machines or writers of a code. You are the designers of the intelligent ecosystem. The system you build will not just function, they will influence how humans think, decide, and interact. Because as technology moves closer to the human mind, the question is no longer just what we can build and how wisely we can choose to build it. Our civilizational continuum that began with simple innovation to the engineering brilliance today stands at the frontier of artificial intelligence, space technology, and digital transformation. But let me be very clear, the technology alone will not define the Bharat's future, the values will. The technology without an ethics is dangerous, and the innovation without the purpose is directionless. On conclusion, Vikasit Bharat is not just an economic goal, it is a moral vision and the civilizational responsibility. The future to those who integrate tradition with technology, wisdom with innovation, and ambition with the responsibility. And again, this is not a old knowledge versus new technology. This is the Bharatiya wisdom powering modern India. And the next chapter will be written by your ideas, your courage, and your commitments to the build. So rise not just as an engineers, but as a nation builders. You are the bridge between the Bharatiya knowledge and the Vikasit Bharat. Today, we stand in a confident India, rising not just to participate, but to lead and inspire the world. Thank you.